On Saturday, the United States will celebrate its 250th birthday. It marks the passage of the Declaration of Independence, the document declaring the then British colonies to be free and independent states.
Maine wasn't a state of its own then, but we still have some of the precious documents of independence. 207's Don Kerrigan is here with that story. Hey, Don.
Hi, guys. Declaration of Independence, of course, is amazing, and it contains what author Walter Isaacson has called the greatest sentence ever written. The Declaration is one of the world's most important documents, and the original, of course, is in Washington, D.C., but Maine is lucky enough to have the next best thing. It is the image of America's founding moment. Artist John Turnbull's vision of the delivery of the Declaration of Independence to the Continental Congress. Written by Thomas Jefferson, edited and improved by Ben Franklin, John Adams, and others.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
They had voted for independence on July 2nd, 1776, and then on July 4th, approved the document and ordered it immediately printed by John Dunlap in Philadelphia. And this is one of those copies. This must be one of the prizes of your collection.
Absolutely.
Now owned by the Maine Historical Society and the centerpiece of its exhibit on the 250th birthday of America.
They ordered, we think, about 200 copies. No one knows for sure quite how many.
Tiffany Link is curator of the exhibit.
And the sole purpose of that was for them to be sent throughout the colonies so that they would be the first official announcement people received of Congress declaring independence.
The colonies that this document says are and have right ought to be free and independent states.
Yes, states after this point, all of them.
This copy was donated to the Historical Society when it began in 1905. It's now believed to be one of just 26 that still exist.
And kind of think about it traveling up and down the East Coast as people are learning about it, you know, not from a newspaper and not from a TV screen or not from a radio broadcast, but they're gathering in small groups. They're seeing it posted in the town square. It's being read to them.
The Dunlap copy was read to people in Boston, but leaders of that colony decided the whole state needed to hear the Declaration.
We're 2 floors underground behind lots and lots of locked doors with very secure badge access only.
So here at the Maine State Archives,
there it is.
all right, an original copy of the Declaration of Independence. State archivist Christian Kotz and Heather Moran showed us their 2 copies of the Russell Broadside version of the Declaration, printed in Salem, Massachusetts, in that same month, July 1776.
And then, but these were made to be sort of the social media of the day. Yeah. You know, get the news out fast and cheap and get it as far flung as possible. Yeah. And so they printed several hundred of these. Mm-hmm. This one went to North Yarmouth, this one went to Hallowell. And so, you know, we can imagine that there were dozens of others that went to Maine, but just don't exist anymore.
These documents are now carefully protected, but are available on the archive's public database online for all to read. And that was the goal of Massachusetts printing these Russell copies.
Ordered that the Declaration of Independence be printed and a copy sent to the ministers of each parish.
Sent, the instructions read, to every minister in the state.
And that they severally be required to read the same to their respective congregations as soon as divine service is ended in the afternoon on the first Lord's Day after they shall have received it.
And what did declaring independence mean for all those hearing or eventually reading the Declaration?
It must have been unsettling because this is a huge upheaval that is headed their way.
By July 1776, Massachusetts had already been fighting the British for more than a year. Bunker Hill, Arnold's March, the burning of Falmouth.
In some ways, especially, the Declaration mentions the 24th grievance out of the 27 things that it says the king has done wrong. It plainly says that he's burned our towns, and that's a direct reference to Captain Mowat burning Falmouth a year before.
The version of the Declaration we're most familiar with, the one with all the names signed on it, wasn't actually signed by the Congress until more than a month later. But it was the action of the Continental Congress, voted that July 4th, then copied and sent to the states, that framed and explained the revolution to come. And these copies that first spread the word, luckily, are still here 2.5 centuries later, reminders to us of how it all began. Now, that first copy, the Dunlap copy, owned by the Maine Historical Society, is about to go on tour. After the 4th, it will be taken around the state for several months, shown in a lot of locations so people can see it. In October, it will be in Augusta at the State Archives, who will bring out their Russell copy to go on display with it. Declaration, of course, was meant to be read to the public, so we decided, in honor of America 250, that we ought to read it too, and that's coming up later in the program.
Thank you, Don.